Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow, where dancers cavort in forbidden operas, making love to forgetting and flaying, where the wealthy play at war with silver swords and silken sashes, where the people mine the dead heart of a burning star for cannonballs and pipework, and where 1,000 secrets hide in a forest of paper and ink. Here, the 5 keybearers reside, the 5 who know the secrets of the broken gates of death. 5 only. There is no 6th spire, forlorn and forgotten in the desert. There is no one who looks to the displaced, the poor and destitute and landless, whose ancestry has been stripped from them by foreign looms and foreign sparkcraft, and no one has ever heard of the House of Endings. But this is their story. Their roots pulled up and burned, they stand in filth up to their necks, and that is precisely why they must keep their heads ever high. Welcome to Uduasha, immigrant. May it fear the name of the house you will build. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about characters with their identities in peril, played by an international cast devoted to fiction-first gaming, collaborative world-building, and complex character drama. Welcome everyone to this Desperate Attune Extra, the Clem special. I guess you might call it the Clemsmas special. We are introducing Salty and their character Clementine, was it Blue-Eyed Clementine? Was that the full?
Golden-Eyed Clementine.
Golden-Eyed Clementine, there we go. I was confusing it with the daughter of a miner in a cavern in a canyon, excavating for a mine. Anyway, yes, we thought we would introduce this character and do a little bit of backstory. Since Clem is joining the story partway through, we are planning to do it as a game of Microscope. And Microscope is a world-building game by... Who made Microscope again?
Ben Robbins did.
Ben Robbins.
Double B.
Good
Double
old
B.
Ben Robbins.
Yeah.
Yes, good old Ben Double B Robbins made this game. And so we thought we would do Clem's backstory in this format. Now, Microscope is a game of non-linear storytelling. So you start by defining the beginning and the end, and then you play out the middle, which is perfect for introducing a character like Clem, who we know has arrived in Uduasha and has come from Sunfall, and that's about what we know about Clem at this point in the story. So we thought, the rest of the characters have this shared past. Let us in this extra delve deeper into Clem's past. Now, we're not the full cast today. It is myself, Prince, as the host. It is, of course, Salty as Clem's player. Hello, Salty.
Yeah, hello.
And I'm also here.
And Klow is also here. Yes. So we are a little bit of a skeleton crew. But yeah, hope you're excited to listen along as we detail the story of Clem.
Mr. Bones well-dried.
Yes.
Yeah, skeletons
Indeed.
in the closet, right?
Skeletons in the closet.
Nice.
And so, how you normally begin this game is that you establish some safety tools, lines and veils and so on, and as you do the safety tools, you also establish what will and will not be part of the story, like beyond sort of the player safety and just what sort of story are we interested in telling. Beginning with the safety tools, we have a handy list in front of us. I'm not going to read the whole list. It's very long. But do we have any... I suppose I'll frame it like this, actually. Salty, are there any other lines and veils to the character backstory besides those we have gone through in the game itself? Like, is there any other control of the... It's your PC, so that's why I'm asking you first, right? Is there any other editorial control of your character's backstory you would prefer aside from what we have already talked about?
Not really, no. But there is also a tick for some interest, and I'm going to very much tick betrayal for that, because that's going to be fun, I think.
Yep. Okay, so betrayal is a yes. Mm-hmm.
Hell yes.
I'm interested in your betrayal.
Just in general?
Mhm.
Yes.
We'll
Are
just
you
read that.
saying I see your betrayal and I raise you something else? That was the tone you had.
No, I was imagining someone walking into a store and saying, "Hello, I'm interested in your betrayal."
Ah, okay, I see.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Please and
Yes.
thank you. How much we spending for this?
Mm-hmm. Very good. So no extra no's, but an extra yes, which is more betrayal.
More betrayal,
Delightful.
please.
Yes. Yeah, the genre of story we will be telling is, of course, about a single person. So normally in Microscope, you need to define like the scope of the story, but that's done for us. The scope is a single person. We have said a yes to including betrayal. We have said a no to not including the things we already don't include in Desperate Attune in general. And so I think the next step is to like a couple of world building yeses and nos I think is reasonable, because we will be establishing things about Severos and about, I don't know if we established that Clem is from Sunfall or just Sunfall was their last port of call.
Yeah.
Did we establish that?
I don't think we have, no.
Okay, then we will leave that blank for now.
Mm.
But I think Sunfall at minimum will feature the story and maybe also more cities. So let's just quickly do like a couple of words about what to include and not to include in Sunfall. And I will begin here with Klow, who wrote the book on Sunfall, by which I mean wrote 2 paragraphs on it.
Shall I just read out the paragraphs real quick?
Please do.
Okay. So, Sunfall. The bastion of Sunfall is a Severosi city stranded in Uruvia after the cataclysm broke the continent. Though nominally loyal to both the Udwashan Badsha and the Immortal Emperor, Sunfall's table of knights follow their own quixotic agenda. There's a fortress city with warded walls, beyond which is a land of petrified forests and great mountains in which nestle valleys where sheep and horses are raised or on strange diets. It is a land where a promise is binding, where honor and lineage are everything. So basically, very Arthurian.
Yeah. And this is a land which we have established Clem has some connection to, but not much more than that.
Yeah. It is also a land that is divorced from its actual continent and is now in a different continent because of fucked up geographical bullshit.
Yes. This has never happened in real life, fortunately. All borders are sensibly where they ought to be.
Yes.
Salty.
Oh my god.
Is this the political?
Salty. Also, now that we have mentioned a little bit about the city, do you want to just mention like the things you want to establish about Clem, the things that are not being contradicted in this story?
Yeah, so conscripted into the Unity War, deserted, and pretty much, yeah, I think that's it. Deserted the Unity War and did not want to go. I think has some sort of stance, but I'm interested to find out what that is.
Yeah, and conscripted on the Empire's side, we should say. So basically conscripted into forcibly uniting the Empire and then went, fuck that shit, and left.
Oh yeah, probably also fought for a bit for the Empire. Didn't just immediately desert.
Yeah. So, we have established this about our setting. I think that might be enough. Customarily in Microscope, you also do include just like what does the setting include. I think we have Arthurian stuff. So, what you customarily do is just, if there's something you think like this should be a part of it that does not fit into the Arthurian, like the genre in general, we establish that now. Is there such a thing? Or are we like, Arthurian is the setting and vibe we're going with?
Yeah, we also know. Yes. I mean, should we talk about what we know about Severos' baseline, just in general, from the Blades Manual, or do we just let people know?
No, please repeat that. That's good.
I don't have it at hand, so I'm just going to go by memory. So Severos is a country of big, badass dudes who ride horses. And these horses, they can eat ghosts, and this is how the Severosi survive in the wild. But Severos also has ancient fortresses that are from before the Cataclysm, which have magical walls. And this is basically what we know about Severos from the Blades in the Dark manual. What we know about Severus from season 1 of Desperate Attune is that it is French coded, which fits in well, I think, with the Arthurian chivalric idea, which is itself a sort of like spin on the horses and fortresses idea that doesn't go into like the steppe culture sort of like a aesthetic, but goes towards a different sort of like a interpretations of it. Yeah. So I think like that establishes certain things.
Yes. Ours is a setting with Severosi paladins.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Having drawn that up, the first step in Microscope is to define sort of the beginning era and the end era. Doesn't have to be literally the beginning and the end. You can have things happen inside of them, but you start by defining like what is the first era we're talking about and what is the last era. And I think the last era is given. That is the arrival in Uduasha. Yeah?
Yes.
I think that's a good place to end it. We can still tell stories of things that happen in Uduasha within the context of the game, but then they will happen within the like arriving in Uduasha era of Clem's life. We do, however, define, and I think this is interesting, so I'm going to ask. We're probably not going to stick exactly to the turn order rules of Microscope. I will be a little bit more of a, what's the word, like referee here, and structured up just because it ties into the story I'm hosting, right? But what you are supposed to do in Microscope is define, is the end light or dark in tone? And I think this is an interesting question to throw out to you both. What do you think? At this stage in the game, we are totally allowed to just discuss things. So.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think the obvious thing that is a good thing for you, right? Do we want?
Yeah.
Is the obvious move the one to make?
I mean, there's got to be something to the obvious, right? Tropes are fun for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to admit, I am an edgy boy, so I'm always down for some dark shit. But there's plenty of dark shit we can explore. I think ending on a light note would be nice.
Yeah. So in terms of how I don't know how we'll interpolate the rules, but even if the period is dark or the period is light, the events within can be other colors.
Yeah. It's just mostly like, is this a good or bad thing?
I vote good.
It's a good thing.
Yes. Who is writing this down, by the way? Because
good point. Salty, how does one use this sheet to add things?
Pass.
Wow, okay.
Let me find focuses. Right. I'll just say it's a light ending. Yeah,
we haven't done... Oh, never mind. Go on.
Yeah. Good question. Imagine finding a Google Sheet and being able to use it. Couldn't be me.
I just assumed you knew how to do things because you're an intelligent person. After an intermission, we resume. Once we have because we have figured out how to use the sheet. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes. So Clem comes to Uduasha is the end, and that is a light period in Clem's life, meaning it's an upbeat.
Yay!
Yep. Insert obvious joke about light period here. First, though.
Was that obvious, Prince? I think that was obvious.
Yes, it was. Okay. Look, you know me. I feed off of puns. Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway.
Where do we begin?
Anyway.
Where do we begin the story? Do we think? Do we begin with Clem is born? I guess we could begin with like birth, but maybe we want to frame the story a little more tightly.
I think that opens us up to when does life begin, and I'm not into that sort of vibe.
Yeah, you haven't finished the bioethics book yet. I
tell you what.
I haven't finished the bioethics book yet.
Yes.
How about this, Salty? You decided the end for Clem, which is that they come to Uduasha, right? May I give you the start?
Of course.
Will you allow me to do so?
Of course.
Thank you. I see this as an honor. Clem is knighted.
Ooh.
Okay, that's the beginning? Okay, sure. Yeah. So everything that happens to Clem before knighthood is irrelevant.
Yes.
Good?
No, we don't care about that bitch.
Then you have, I mean, so it is written, so it shall be.
And important question here. Sorry. maybe you were going to address it anyway. I was just thinking. So if the end is light, does it mean that the beginning has to be dark? Is there a rule about that? I don't remember.
I do not believe there is a rule about that.
Okay. So what color is this?
It's your call because you introduced it. This is how the game works. When you introduce an event, you say whether it is light or dark, and that's basically all the detail you give on it, except its
I
name.
see. Okay. I have decided this shit sucks, bro.
Okay, Clem is knighted, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Then what we do is, in player order, we go around the table and everyone adds one period or event to the story. Before we start regular play. We just hop around the table and everyone adds a thing. And then we start the game proper. So we are in order in our voice chat, and that order puts Klow on top. So I'm going to stick to this. This is probably because of the alphabet. Actually, Craig's on top, but Craig doesn't get a say.
He only says one thing, and we love him for it.
Yes.
Poor Craig. Doesn't get rights.
Yeah. But also doesn't get wrongs. Klow, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. The Siege of Black Veil.
The Siege of Black Veil. Okay, and well, for now that goes in the middle.
Yeah. And you know what? I think this went great for Clem.
Okay, the Siege of Black Veil went great somehow. Cool.
Yes. I think it's much more interesting if it went great.
Okay.
Yeah. Next is me, and I either add a period or an event, as it were. And I think I will add an event just to be contrary, to not stuff in more broad eras. And that event will be under Clem is knighted. It is also a dark event, I think, a dark event in a dark period. And it is called... Yeah, I'm just thinking about how to frame this, right? It is called Breaking It Off with Home.
Nice.
Is that clear now? It's like, you're knighted, and now you have to say goodbye to everything you were at one point.
Nice. It's like a homecoming, but the other way around.
Yes. So I will call it saying goodbye to the old life, just to make it clear. And someone paint. How do you paint it black? I want it painted black. There we go. Saying goodbye to the old life.
Nice.
And Salty. Then you add either a new period in the story, or you add an event.
I'm going to add in a period, make it a nice round 4, and it's going to be just sunfall, just getting to sunfall, or at least being there.
And does that happen before or after the Siege of Black Veil?
After the Siege of Black Veil.
Interesting.
And it's going to be a dark event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the sun fell.
Yeah. And also we have established that Sunfall is a terrible place.
Sunfall is terrible.
It is a silly place.
Yes. Okay. That means we have set up the board. So what we know about Clem is knighted. Clem says goodbye to their old life. Sometime later, the Siege of Black Veil is a whole era. Sometime later, Sunfall is a whole era. And sometime later, Uduasha. Yep.
Yeah.
And play now begins with player 1, which I suppose is Klow again because of the alphabet. And Klow, what you do is you pick a lens. And the lens is like a theme that whatever we add to the story, it has to somehow relate back to the theme you pick here. So it could be like, if your theme is, I don't know, guns, then everything has to be gun related somehow.
Yes. You know what? If you suggest focus is guns, I have a simple man. Focus is guns.
Okay, sure. It's your call. I just put ideas in your head, apparently. So, then what you do is you introduce the first and last thing. So, you do the first gun thing, then we go around, and then you also do the last gun thing.
first gun thing, last gun thing.
Also relevant is that the player who goes before the lens, which is Salty in this case, will also pick a legacy at the end. But we'll get to that at the end of the round.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just explaining this so that we're keeping track of it.
You know what? I'm going to call this event. How do we have to explain what the events are, or can I just be vague and poetic?
You're supposed to be vague and poetic. That is the point. You say like, what is the event called, and then you decide whether it's light or dark. And unless it is a scene, that's all you do.
Okay, I'm going to add event to Sunfall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be called the Sniper at the Gates of Dawn.
The Sniper at the Gates of Dawn. Dark or light event?
Dark event.
Okay. The Sniper at the Gates of Dawn is a thing that happened in Sunfall. Cool.
Yes. Yep.
Cool, dope, excellent. Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
just a suggestion for everyone. Can we perhaps also use this potentially to develop some of the people that Clem has on their contact sheet? Maybe?
Yeah, we can rope that in.
Yeah. Well, of course, they're all in Uduasha, I think, for the most part, but we can think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just wanted an opportunity to punch Tamara in the face.
That'll happen.
That will happen.
So, whose turn is it now?
It's my turn. And we are. I'm going to add an event in the Siege of Blackvale. I don't think we're at adding scenes yet. When we add a scene, we'll get to it. There will be a little bit of role playing once we do. But I will. No, actually, I changed my mind. I'm adding a scene now. I'm adding a scene inside the Sniper at the Gates of Dawn. And so, brief aside, how scenes work is you say that like, okay, I want to explore this event further. So the person who proposes the scene says what characters are in it, and then they ask a question, and then you roleplay it until the question is answered. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how I want to frame the scene in the Sniper at the Gates at Dawn is I want to frame it in... So Sunfall isn't necessarily at war, it's in Eruvia, so we don't know precisely what's going on here. But it is during a riot is when this scene is taking place. Obviously Clem is there. And I'm nominating Salty to play Clem because that just makes sense. And another person who is there is... Gunnery Captain, to tie it to the theme of guns. Gunnery Captain Maximilian Benioff. And yes. And the question being asked by the scene, so we know that there is a riot, we know that the gunnery captain is there and Clem is there. The question is, who is the sniper at the Gates at Dawn?
Let's see. So there's three characters. There's two characters so far.
There's two characters defined.
Yeah.
Salty's playing one. And how it works then, Klow, is that you decide whether you want to be the gunnery captain or whether you want to make up someone else.
I would like to be the sniper at the Gates of Dawn.
Okay. Then I guess you will be the person who answers the question who the hell they are. But you're introducing them as a separate character, so I guess you're establishing it's not Clem or Lieutenant Gunnery Captain, Benioff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Do I answer that now, or?
No, we play out the scene. So, once you answer the question, then the scene ends. But you have put yourself in charge of being able to answer the question, I suppose.
I see. Okay, cool.
The question is who is the sniper, but just you playing them does not define it. It just gives you the power to answer the question, right?
I see.
Or maybe someone else will. The scene might end before you even have a chance to do it. But the rule is you ask a question and the scene ends when it's clear what the answer is.
Okay, cool. So who launches in? I guess it's you.
Yeah, I frame the scene as I proposed it. And so there is a riot going on. And Clem is there, and I think the gunnery captain is... Yeah, I think the situation as the scene starts is that the gunnery captain has a battery of guns, and they are basically contemplating just shooting everyone down. They are contemplating just firing at the rioters. And I think my question as I frame the scene, Clem, is do you think that you're part of Maximilian Benioff's company? Or do you think that you're part of some other military unit?
I think we've established that Tamira hired Clem when she was in Sunfall. So I think she's some other military company. She's here to represent private interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're basically a mercenary, yeah.
Mm.
And so, yeah, we see this captain looking very hesitant. He's like a big mustachioed man. He's looking out over the rioting and the robbing, and he turns to Clem and goes, "Well, I thought you said you'd be able to stop this. That's private property they're getting away with. Not only that, it's Akurosi private property. What are you going to do about it?"
Yeah. Now, how many men do you have?
How many men?
How many men?
Only about a dozen. We weren't expecting this, but we do have guns.
Right.
You said, your messenger said you had the situation in hand. What the hell happened?
Well, I say don't shoot the messenger, but this messenger got a fucking bullet through the head. Give me 2 men, and I'll take this sniper down. I'll get it back. The Lady of Wine wants her shit back, and I suppose I've been sent to get it.
All right. He turns to the people assembled, and he goes, "Boot, Gat, you're with Clem." He bases this off of them having short names, like you see.
Right, let's fucking go.
Yeah, and so these two people break off. And what do you do with them? So they have guns. They have they have, like, they can shoot people down. But let's remember, this is still a setting with like black powder weapons, so they can shoot once. Like,
Boot suddenly falls to the ground with a bullet in his head.
Ah, lovely. Okay, you've just been assigned these 2 men, and that happens. Good.
Fuck. I think
Captain Benioff ducks down into cover immediately.
And Clem is going to be right out of cover and then using that angle to have determined where the sniper is. Right. Boot. Shoot over there. I'm going in.
Uh-huh. Okay, so your remaining person provides covering fire as you head towards the sniper's position. What is the sniper's position?
There's smoke coming out from the top of... I was going to say minaret, but we're going more Arthurian.
No, I think minaret would be quite good. Would be quite interesting. Because there's a little bit of that influence in Arthurian myth, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, also there is this weird combination of Severosi and Eruvian architecture probably colliding here, so sure.
Yeah, so I'll tell you. So this is a minaret that is kind of... So there's like there are these vast ancient gates that used to be the gates that led out of the city back before the cataclysm. And then the cataclysm happened, and then these gates led to nowhere. They're just kind of like empty gates on like walls that have been demolished, and new walls had to be made around the city. And this minaret is one of the former guard towers.
Cool.
Guard tower for gate that no longer leads to anything. These are the gates of dawn.
Uh-huh. So Clem makes their way over there, I guess, under covering fire, provided by the last remaining guy who is... Guy or guys, because I think actually most of the people are firing in this direction now. It's sort of taken precedence over the riot. When someone starts sniping you.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And Clem is going to have climbed up the guard tower on the outside, because I imagine there's like ivy and other such kind of hard growing, hard-wearing plants. All radiant ivy or some shit. These are the gates
So
of
kind
dawn,
of-
right?
So kind of behind the sniper?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, sniper, does this work? Can Clem get up behind you?
There's a rope that suddenly dangles down towards them from up top.
Yeah, grab it. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
And then there's a loud crack, and then I think you hear the other guy. What was his name?
Benioff?
Boots.
No, the other guy. There was Boots and someone else, right?
Boots
Oh,
and cats.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Gats, who was like assigned to probably flank from the other side. You see
Yeah.
Gats suddenly drop dead.
Ugh. Right, we good?
Who are you speaking to?
To the sniper, I think Clem swipes
Pops up
away a
behind
little
him.
bit of blood. Yeah. Right, we good? You got the goods.
Mm-hmm. And I think this sort of like a very, very short old woman kind of turns to you, and her glasses, which are telescoping, kind of like a kind of like a peer back, puts away a Sparkcraft rifle and says, yes, they carried away most of the... What were they? Were they barrels or something from Tamira's estate?
Yeah, I think they were barrels.
Barrels
Or
of what?
like these. Oh, it's wine and maybe like goat skins, like skins of wine as well, and other such illicit substances.
I think this ends the scene because we know that the sniper is Clem's ally, and we should give this person a name, but I don't think we do that in the scene. But we have established, right, that it's Clem's ally / partner in crime. Yeah, in double crossing Tamira. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I?
Give this person a name. Yeah.
It's Kosha, Desert Guide. One of your contacts.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we should remember this then. So the desert guide is this old woman. Can you write down the name? Kosha. There we go.
Kosha with GH.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, that resolves the scene, and that's me. And then it is Salty's turn to add same thing as before: a period, an event, or a scene.
I think I'd like to add a scene in the Siege of Blackvale. Or no, I'll add an event because we don't have any events there, and I think it'd be a bit weird to have a scene without an event. And I think,
oh yeah, you have to add an event first. Yeah, that is how it works.
An event will be the desertion. It's got to be right. Deserting the army during the Siege of Blackvale.
Okay, the desertion happens during the Siege of Blackvale. Interesting.
And that is a light event.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, just desertion. Excellent. And then we're back to Klow, who gets to add one more thing tied to guns. All of these things should be tied to guns, but I think the desertion pretty plainly is, so that's fine. And as your last special thing, as the lens, when you finish it, you may do nested things if you want. You can add a period with an event in it or an event with a scene in it to cap off your round. If you wish, or you can just do one thing.
Yeah, I think let's put something in the Siege of Blackvale, so as an event, which I think would be execution of Baron Gunnar.
Execution of Baron Gunnar. Okay.
Yes. And I think this was bad. Execution of Baron
Do you
Gunnar.
also want to add a scene inside it, or are you happy there?
I think let's add a scene inside it. So remind me. So with the scene, I first present a question, or
Sorry,
what?
I opened the Roll20 and I just discovered that Aadiyat has renamed his character Captain Mackerel now.
Yes.
Um,
I have nothing to say.
uh-huh.
He's a clearly different character.
Yes, clearly.
Remind me. So do I first pitch the question, or do I pitch the characters?
You first pitch the characters and then the question, I think.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Clem always has to be there, so that's natural. Baron.
Nothing prevents us from pitching a scene that's relevant to Clem, but which Clem isn't in mind. But
That's true. But no, Clem will be there. And the Baron Gunnar will be there. And I am going to play the firing squad.
You're going to be playing the firing squad?
Yes, I'm going to play the entire firing squad.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or the rest of the firing squad. Because the question here...
Clem and Baron as characters? Or
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the question I'm going to ask, because I'm playing the rest of the firing squad mind, is does Clem pull the trigger?
Okay. All right. And paint the scene a little bit. You introduced it, so you also get to define, like, what does this look like? Where is it taking place?
It's taking place in the looted estate of the Baron Gunnar. During the siege of Blackvale, I think like the second walls have been taken. Sorry, the third walls have been taken. There's just the royal palace left, and now I think like there's just general looting because now the nobility's estates are now open and vulnerable. So all around there's like screaming and so on, things being smashed and all that. Just general looting, and the Baron Gunnar has been dragged out. I think the surviving members of his family are watching, and firing squad.
Yeah. Yes. I did note that we skipped a step in the scenes, actually, which is that at the start of the scene, you are supposed to describe each character's, like, describe them and their mental state if you want. So, like, a physical description of the character, but also possibly what they are thinking and doing on the reference sheet.
Okay. Do I do that?
No, the people who play them do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can, if you want. Basically, what you should do, I guess, is describe the rest of the firing squad, what they look like and what the vibe of them is.
Drunk.
Okay.
Drunk, and a lot of them are like dressed in very, very fancy clothes on top of their uniforms.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will describe Baron Gunnar next, I guess. And I think Baron Gunnar is not very fancily dressed. He is actually, I think he's in like a Skovlander military uniform. He's like in an officer's uniform, but it's not like very fancy. It's like a plain gray, very practical uniform. And his state of mind is just like, fuck you. He is not, not particularly afraid. He's more angry than afraid. And do you want to say anything about Clem's state of mind? Salty.
Yeah, I think absolutely fucking terrified. Just this is scary for her.
Yep. And so the Baron stumbles out. He looks up and he goes, "So, here to steal, are you? Wait, you're not Akros. I know you lot. You're from down southwest. I thought you were too proud for this." He glares out at like everyone. I don't know if Clem answers or if someone else does.
I think it's probably I think it's probably the captain of the company or what have you. But perhaps.
Oh no, he's not here. It's just you guys.
Oh shit!
Who's in charge here? No one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think can I establish a character here? Because I don't think Clem would be the one answering.
Sure.
Yeah. Klow, I'd like to give you the character of battalion spokesperson Murad.
Murad?
Yeah.
No, this Murad is not bald. He's got beautiful hair. In fact, he is wearing the Baron's wife's wig, and is like spinning it around on his head. I was like, no one's too fucking proud. No one's too fucking proud to get rich. You. And then he kind of like stumbles forward and then pokes the Baron in the belly with his with the butt of his gun. Yeah. And you wouldn't know that. You've always been. I can smell it on you. Smell the blue blood. Clem, get a whiff of this guy. Smells like butter.
That's what you're smelling? Something wrong with your nose, friend. You ought to be smelling the gunpowder. And this is where everyone becomes aware of that somewhere there is a fuse hissing behind him.
Sir.
His mansion.
He's fucking bluffing. He wanted to blow up his fancy ass house. He's got his wife and kids in there. Nah, shut him up. There, you. Clem.
Did. He says, grunting the past tense as this group of looters.
And then he kind of, and then I think Murad just kind of gives a grin and says, shit, was that your wife? Oh, well. Easy come, easy go, huh? And I guess you're on your way out. Clem!
Yes, sir.
And I hand you a gun. Have fun. First blue buds you're killing, huh?
Yes, sir.
And I think everyone kind of like hangs back, not at all believing that this estate is rigged to blow up.
Yeah.
Letting Clem make their bones.
And I think the Baron looks at Clem in this moment and says, "So, it's up to you, I suppose. Won't make a difference. Do you want blood on your hands? Or you want me to take care of it?"
Sorry, sir. This me or you. And she pulls the trigger,
No, it isn't.
I think.
Yeah, you pull the trigger. He says, "No, it isn't." And I think you pull the trigger, and around the same time, the foundations of the mansion blow, and it starts to collapse. But we have answered the question. So you did pull the trigger, but it probably didn't matter.
What a charming man Murad was.
Yes.
I loved being him.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is a dark as.
This is establishing some about why Clem left.
Just to get away from Murad.
Yep.
Oh man, that's Clem. Hell yeah.
Very good.
His answer.
So that finishes the first round. We'll see how many rounds we have time for. We are on a time limit, but the last thing to do is that Salty, you pick one thing that we have introduced, like person, thing, place, whatever, that we've introduced this round, and you write it down as a legacy, as something that normally in a game, this just means that we will revisit it in the game. But I think since we are doing this as a character creation exercise for Clem, I think we should also bear in mind that the legacy is something that left an impression on Clem, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to legicize. I'm going to legicize our desert guide. Because I think that's going to be really fun to come up later.
Okay, so the legacy is Gosha. And when you do this, you explore a legacy. So you make an event or dictate a scene. You don't play it. But you can make a scene if you want, where you just ask the question and then answer it. Or you can make an event involving then Gosha, because you picked her.
Wonderful. I'm going to dictate a a scene where there's I know her, but I'm not friends with her, or leave her behind in the desert. Some shit like that. Horrific.
When does that take place?
Suppose we don't have. I think it takes place during Sunfall. The
Okay.
scene. Well, we'll establish the event. The absconding, I suppose. Actually, no. This takes place. No, this takes place at the Sniper of the Gates of Dawn. The scene being absconding from the Gates of Dawn.
Okay, so after the scene we just saw, you ditch Gosha and leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salty, are you telling me that Clem is not a good addition to Bidri's life?
No.
Well,
she's
see.
a great addition. Actually, no, she's not a good addition. She's a great addition.
Good.
She's such a lovely person.
Yes. Okay, so you abscond. Yeah, you just dictate the scene. So basically, what happened to Gosha? You ditched her and left. I guess is the question that you're answering.
Yeah. Yep. Got ditched.
Very good. And we are admittedly playing this game somewhat sloppily, but one, we're pressed for time, and two, we are doing it more as an exercise in establishing Clem's backstory. So apologies to Microscope purists who listen to this game. Okay, very good. The round 1 is through. Round 2, I am the lens. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I pick a focus and I will introduce a scene, a period, or a thing. And I will pick as my focus Tamira, because I think your rival should be spotlighted. So everything has to be relating to Tamira now, and I will. So we saw in this scene that you robbed Tamira of her wine, but then you ditched Gosha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will add a scene after the sniper at the Gates of Dawn, just to confuse things, and it's a light event, and it's called Insurance Fraud Pays. And it's tied to Tamira because obviously it was her insurance fraud. That's.
Oh dear, that's.
So yeah, I have added an event. It happens after all of the sniper stuff, but before coming to Duasha, and it's insurance fraud paying off with Tamira. I don't write her out, but she is the focus, so we understand that she's there. And then it's off to Salty's turn. Simple as that.
Fuck it, I'm going to make a scene for insurance fraud pays. And I state the question. Does insurance fraud really pay?
Okay. Very good. Okay, now if we are not in such a hurry, then let's go through the scene thing. So step 1 is state the question, actually. So we did it a little bit wrong before. Step 1 is state the question. Step 2 is set the stage. What here do we know? Where's the scene physically taking place? And then choose characters, list banned and required characters. So you can be like, character X is not here if you want. And then everyone gets assigned their roles. So the question is, does insurance fraud really pay? As a scene within insurance fraud pays, and who is or isn't here?
Okay, so I'm setting the stage. I feel like this is a business in Sunfall. It's an insurance business, of course. And let's say I think Tamira is here. I'd like Tamira to be here. So it's your turn next, because that's reverse order.
Sure. How it works is, as you introduce the scene, you state everyone who is here. So you can just go Tamira is here and then let people pick their characters freely if you want.
I think that works. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's an insurance fraud company. It's an insurance company. Sunfall, and Tamira is here.
It's an insurance fraud company.
Yes, fantastic. Klow picks characters first. So are you Tamira or not Tamira?
No, that's your character.
Oh,
Well, we are doing Microscope, so you do as you please. If you're not Tamira, you have to say who else you are, though. Because
no,
Mhm.
you. I
What?
think I am going to be Tamira.
Wow.
Somebody
You
else
are
can
playing
play Clem.
Okay.
I want to
Is Clem
see.
here? Have we established
Well,
that
we
Clem
don't
is here?
know. We don't know. All Salty has said is Tamira is here, and then if you're also picking to play Tamira, then Klow and I just pick whoever we want to play.
Yeah.
Then there are no restrictions.
So who are the people here? Salty, you're supposed to decide, right?
To clarify
you-
for
you get
Microscope,
Yeah.
Salty gets to decide who is here and isn't, but it's also totally fair to just leave it open and just say it's an insurance company, Tamira is here. And
Okay.
if you don't want to say anymore, you don't have to, and then the other players just make shit up.
Yeah, I'd like you to make shit up. I think you'd make
that's
better
a totally
choices.
legit way to do it.
I am going to play Herald Jack, who has a gigantic scroll that contains the assets of the various houses and what they have.
Yep. Okay,
Herald
I am
Jack.
going to play Tamerlane, who is the guy who in the actual episode of Desperate Attune shows up as a drunken wreck. But this is before that, obviously, so now he's like a competent guy. He is some sort of enforcer.
Mhm. Cool. So no Clementine, at least not as a PC.
Yeah, Clem is not here, and the question is, does insurance fraud play? And we have Tamira, Herald Jack, and Tamerlane the Thug.
Mm-hmm. So Salty, set the scene.
Yeah, so I think it's over wine. It's over a. It's a very plush office with a. Of course, there's a very well stocked bar at it. This is a high class insurance establishment, as the Herald and Tamira discuss what exactly this means for the business.
Mhm.
There's incense burning. There's if it was sunlit outside, which of course it isn't, there'd be sun beaming through. So instead, it's candlelight. The shadows are kind of inky and hazy in the background.
Yeah, and I will. We are allowed to add detail to our characters here, so I will detail Tamerlane, who is at this point like cool, stoic, badass guy, and his inner world at the moment is he is thinking, oh shit, I better pay attention to this. Once I learn the scheme, Clem and I are going to run away together, and we can finally be together.
Lol.
This is what Tamerlane is thinking in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is completely foolish. I don't get to establish anything outside of the character, but he totally thinks that they're going to be an item.
Oh, I'm sure it'll work out. My turn for Herald Jack. Okay, Herald Jack is an absolute beast of a dude, gigantic, but like not in a built sort of way. Just big, really big, and he's got like half moon glasses, and he is licking his like sipping wine. He's like dipping his fingers in wine as he's like turning the pages of this richly bound, vellum-bound like book of assets of the Tamira's noble line, whatever their name is, and he's wearing an accuracy-style suit. And next to him, just kind of like not really being at use, but is his symbol of office, which is a long tasseled trumpet.
Okay.
And I won't tell you what he's thinking.
Okay.
And Tamira is bored as hell of all of this. It's very standard. There's riots all the time, especially with what's happening over in Scotland at the moment. Yeah, it's fine. Now, what am I getting for this? A large amount of product has gone missing. I need insurance. And Harold, I am assured that you are the best in Sunfall.
Yes, my records do go far back, and I have here the various assets. I will have to do a full inventory of the contents of your cellars. For example, do you still have the Black Veil 1600?
No, I don't. I've given you an inventory already, and
All
several of my
30
staff has
barrels
gone missing.
gone?
Yes, and my staff have gone missing as well. I think it's very important that you sort this out.
Well, the staff, milady, are not counted as assets. We no longer keep thralls. It's against imperial law. But their clothing and accoutrements and tabards. Did they take those as well?
Yes, of course they did.
Well, such fools they are for taking their tabards, because that would make them immediately recognizable wherever they abscond to. And he's like sipping his wine. I don't know why I'm playing him like he's not this old. I don't know why I'm playing him like this.
Some people have an old soul.
Some people are old.
Yes. I think though Tamerlane cuts in and he goes, "What about the investigation? Someone's going to be looking through where they disappeared to. Surely. Someone's going to be looking for missing people, right?" And to be clear, to establish his space of mind to like the audience here, right? He is thinking this because he's worried about Clem's plan being pretty stupid and you might get caught by the cops.
Yes. I will have to furnish a full inventory of all assets, including the tabards and their descriptions and the heraldry to the Knights Peregrine, so that they may find them out in the desert wastes, where surely they have absconded to. Are you missing any carriages, milady?
Oh no, don't worry about that. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the wine and the tabards and other such things, but the wine is what I'm interested in.
Forgive
the people,
me, milady.
Replaceable.
Yes, I was merely wondering how one smuggles out 30 barrels of wine without a carriage.
Well, and I think Tamira's like, I haven't checked the carriages recently. Should I be doing so? That's what Clem's for.
Do you say this out loud?
No, my personal guard has been dealing with all that. Ugh. Now, this wine here is decent, but do you have anything a bit stronger? Tamlane, get me something stronger. Something from, I don't know, the Vinter's probably... Just get me something better than whatever the Herald's is giving me.
Yeah.
Same for me too, my good man.
Sure.
And I think, I don't know. There's no sort of dice rolls here or anything, but like he's clearly, I think he's a lot smarter than he seems. And this sort of like a doddering old man thing is just how he presents himself.
And Tamerlane, of course, is going to go fetch whatever. He doesn't know shit about wine. He's just like, his mind is on Clem. Like, holy shit, we're going to be so wanted by the cops. Is this going to work? And he's going to fetch some Black Veil 600. Which is exactly the wine you were just discussing. And maybe this gentleman is good enough that he is able to tell. Who knows?
Oh, he knows his wines.
So yeah, that's what he does.
A fine vintage.
Tamira's good enough to know her wines as well. So she clocks it. It's like, I'm going to have to pass this off as a 1610 or what have you.
I think it should have been 600. I think I forget the timeline, but I think 600 makes more sense.
Yeah, there have only been
Yeah.
800 years since.
Yeah, I forgot
This
about
is
that.
this is what makes it particularly difficult to get hold of.
Yes.
They brand
I mean,
it as
to
1600.
be fair, we don't know if the Eruvians count by a different calendar. It would make sense if theirs is older. They probably count from the key bearers
that's
or
true.
something. But
That's
yeah.
true. Well, if it's Blackveil 600, it's probably from wherever Yeah, let's just say that. Let's retcon. I meant 600 all along. I think it's easier. Yeah, so I am drinking the wine that has supposedly gone missing.
What do you think, Harold?
I think you should rest easy, milady. It seems your missing property has been found by this discerning gentleman. What is your name, sir?
Tamerlane.
Very well. And then he kind of leafs through the books and he finds your entry. As yet, no deeds of note. I will list this down for you. That you have retrieved the Blackveil 600 for your lady.
No, I think this Harold, and she kind of walks her fingers over the desk. She's like, you're mistaken. This is the 610 vintage. It tastes very similar. It's not quite the same. Can you detect that subtle floral note, the musk underneath? You see, we brew it with the bloom on the fruit. Can you detect that?
And he's listening, and then he says, I must confess I cannot, milady. Perhaps because it is the 600. But you should rejoice. You are spared the odious procedure of going through the insurance claims process. I congratulate you, and I bid you a good evening. And then he takes his
As he's
trumpet
saying this, yeah, as he is talking, which he's doing slowly and deliberately, Tamerlane, realizing he's fucked up, holds up his blackjack behind him and looks at Tamira, just like, yeah.
I'm reaching for my trumpet so that I can sound it for case closed.
What does Tamira indicate? Do I hit the guy? Do I not hit the guy?
Nods 100%. It's like, yes, do it.
Then I think Tamerlane hits the guy over the head, and I think this sort of concludes the scene with a no. Maybe God doesn't pay because this probably just creates more problems. But
no, does it really pay? No.
It turns out it doesn't when the guy who handles your insurance is also an epic sommelier.
Well, is it really an epic sommelier if he doesn't detect things?
Well, okay. We have answered the question.
I enjoyed being that man too. I'm enjoying being the various freaks in Salty's life.
Yes. Very good. Klow, it's your turn to introduce a thing.
No, I am becoming them. Yes. Clem comes to the Usher, saying goodbye to her old life. Clem is knighted. Okay, yeah. I'm going to make a period. My first instinct for the period would have been something that would have made more sense as an event, so I'm just going to give it more better period appropriate name. And it's going to be Duke Duchess. Duchess Tirson. Duchess Death of Duchess Tirson.
Okay, and that's a period? That's like a long...
Yeah. It's like a whole thing.
Okay, and it's after Clem is knighted, and it's a dark or light?
I think it's bad for Clem.
Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily... I mean, The actual death itself can be an event, but it's like the whole everything surrounding the death is bad for.
Yeah. Okay. And then it's back to me as the lens. I can do a nested thing, but I don't think I will. I think it's cooler to leave this undetailed. But I'm adding an event in the death of Duchess Tirsin, and it's called Tamira lures Clem. Like seduces isn't the right word, but neither is lures. I'm like tempts the word. That's the word I'm looking for. Tamira tempts Clem into a life of crime. And that happens in the event of the death of Duchess Tirsin, and it is a light event because, new hope, a new life.
Yay.
I think the beginning with Tamira must have been pretty good. Clem mentioned working for her for a long time. So the interesting thing is this happens before the siege of Blackvale, I just realized. But, so Clem might have been pulled away by like military duty to do crime. Yeah, I think it's cool if the meeting is early. Maybe it doesn't make sense for it to be a life of crime, but like Tamira, okay, let's not have it be a life of crime. Let's frame it slightly differently since it happens earlier. But like Tamira tempts Clem into dishonor. Let's frame it that way.
Ooh. Nice.
And that happens during the death of the Duchess. So I'll write it down. Oops. But yeah, it's a fairly nice period or a fairly nice event during this dark period. And it is probably, maybe, where Clem first meets Tamira. I think it makes sense not to detail it anymore, so I think I'll just wrap it there rather than do two events, even though I can. And this time, Klow determines the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So what have we introduced from this thing that you want to focus on?
Heraldry.
Heraldry. Okay. Fair enough.
Fucking love heralds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And remind me what I have to do once I pick a legacy.
You write down your legacy because it's something that's saved. We can revisit it later.
I have done so.
Yeah. And then you do one event or scene with the focus is heraldry.
Okay. I will add an event after save and claim as knighted and after saying goodbye to the old life. Which is, where should I put it? Right next to it, I guess.
Sure.
Clem receives coat of arms.
Clem receives coat of arms. Dark or light event?
Thing. Good shit.
Thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a great honor.
Cool. Okay.
I don't know what your coat of arms is, but you have one.
Yep.
Find out.
Yeah.
And that wraps that. Salty starts round 3, determining a lens.
Oh, I'm going to go for. If we've had Tamira already, let's go for my friend Aaron, a battlefield medic.
Okay. Aaron, the battlefield medic, is the focus. And yeah, you start with a period, event, or scene.
I would like to go for a scene for receiving a coat of arms.
Oh, you've known Aaron a long time.
Yeah.
It turns out.
And the question is going to be, why do you bring Aaron along with you?
Okay.
And I suppose we should probably establish Clem is there.
Where is there is technically the first
there.
thing.
Oh, yeah. Where is there?
May I suggest?
Yeah, go for it.
The estate of Duchess Tirsin.
Oh.
Who is not yet dead.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I think that is, if we do, that's geographically, it's Severos, it's North Severos. Kind of like where Scotland and Severos are closest.
Okay, so we are at the estate of Duchess Tirsin. Set the scene a bit, describe it, and then say who is there and who isn't.
Oh, it's wind whipped. There's scrubby trees. It's mountainous. There's black wood all around. It's an ancient fortress. There's a flickering bonfire of heart flame in the middle of it. So everybody's faces are very dramatically cast into shadow. I suppose it's near Timor then. Nearby. That's the closest imperial city to it. So there's a few Timorian, I suppose, soldiers, what have you.
Ooh.
They're imperials. So I'm going to establish that, there's imperial soldiers who are waiting, ready to take the Severosi conscripts.
Okay. Imperial soldiers and Clem. Those are the people
And
you're
Clem,
saying are there.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then we pick our roles, starting with Klow gets first pick. So you could pick Clem or Imperial soldiers or make up a new person.
I would like to be the Duchess Turson.
Okay. Sure. Then just to screw around with things, I'm going to play Clem in this scene.
Awesome.
If you're okay with it, Salty, we're
Yeah,
doing the
go for it.
We're going the collective world building here, which includes character building. So this
Go
is
for it, yeah.
Yep. A newly knighted Clem. So this is happening as Clem receives their coat of arms, and the question is, why is Aaron with you? And Aaron, I will note, has not actually been established as being in this scene. So
I'm going to establish that I'm playing Aaron then.
okay, fair enough. And the Imperial soldiers, I think, because no one else is playing them. So.
And the Imperial soldiers.
Well,
oh my
actually,
God,
I feel like a thing that you just kind of accidentally established is maybe that Aaron is among the Imperial soldiers.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
We haven't determined that he's Severosi or anything, so maybe he's just an Imperial.
Yeah, he is.
I ship them.
Cool. All right.
Set the scene.
Yeah.
So we had this windswept.
This windswept.
Yeah. Klow, you begin by introducing your character and their state of mind.
Okay. Remind me. So windswept plains. There's like a flickering there's like darkness and so on, and you're about to receive the coat of arms, right? With the Imperial soldiers in attendance and.
Yeah, it's set within one of those ancient fortresses of Severos. It's outside of Timor.
Duchess Turson is. She is wearing ancient, sumptuous robes that are like fully 100 years out of fashion, and they're clearly threadbare. They've been like darned and so on, so it's like faded majesty. And I think she herself is quite old and childless. And she is surrounded by old knights, and she's looking at you with more than fondness, but also a sort of like a hungry hope as she washes her sword in oil for your knighting as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Clem's state of mind is furious and insulted. I don't know why. I just think this is a cool thing to throw in. So we see a young Clem who is very angry, like seething about this knighting ceremony, which is for some reason insulting. And so, yeah, I don't need to describe Clem more physically. I think like young, fresh-faced, in like not yet in official coat of arms outfit, but well dressed and absolutely angry.
Yeah, and I think Aaron is this very shrinking violet youth, ill-fitting uniform, and a little bit scared of all these very tough, very well-weathered, maybe a little feral Severosi guards all around this imperial contingent for, I think it's mostly diplomatic, because there's conscription force, right?
Yeah.
And just to lean into the World War I imagery even more, they've got white feathers as their heraldry.
Nice.
Yeah. So Clem turns towards the old woman and says, "You force me into this, and you're not even giving me soldiers of my own? Where the hell are my horses?"
Mm-hmm. And I think she gives, for a woman who looks like really ancient, withered, and dried, she has a very surprisingly youthful and musical laugh. And she goes, Sir Clem, Sir Clem, Sir Clem. All things will follow. A knight cannot ride her first horse without wearing her tabard, without having first been touched by the sword. Will you not
know
have
that.
patience?
I will have patience with you, but I am alone here. These are peasants, she says, and she waves her arm at the Akarosi contingent that are apparently why she is insulted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, out of character, I'm going to give her another reason to feel insulted soon.
Cool.
And I will say, these peasants are the finest soldiers that our emperor has seen fit to bestow upon us as our protection. And indeed, they are not the only ones here. Sir Gregor, Sir Maximilian are also here, and I gesture towards two ancient fucks.
Yeah, but they're not coming with me, are they? Clem says.
Mm-hmm. I say, no, your vigil is your own. Will you wear your tabard? Will you accept it from me? Will you accept my anointment before you go out on your vigil?
I have, I think, little choice.
It is important you say the proper words.
Fine. I will to my lord's will be true. I will love all which you love and shun all which you shun. I will accept.
Mm-hmm. Come, and I will first bid you kneel,
Mhm.
and then I will have Sir Maximilian shuffle forward with the box that smells quite nice. I don't know, some sort of like fancy wood, and inside it is the is your tabard, which contains your coat of arms.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never seen this. You have no idea what it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The heralds have decreed that this is what should represent you. And I take it out. And then with all ceremony, I first place it down over you, such that, and I kind of like smooth it out such that when you're leaning down, you can't actually see it because you're hunched over. And then I mean, assuming you don't do anything and you just kind of like sit still. That's the first question.
I think Clem just goes through with the ceremony here.
Yeah. The sword, both hands on each shoulder, and then I cup your chin, and I say, and I make you look up at me, and I say, "Rise, knight, and kiss your lord." And you're meant to kiss my brow.
Yep. This will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ceremony will be followed reluctantly, but it's like we have established both that Clem is knighted and conscripted, so I don't think Clem has any choice about any of this, right?
Yeah.
It's very weird to be conscripted into knighthood, but I guess that is what's happening.
Yeah. We need knights. I accept the kiss, and then I bury the tip of my sword into the ground, and I lean on it. Because even though this is a stupid thing to do a sword, this is a story. It's fine. And then I lean on it, and I kind of like look at you and say, "You may inspect your tabard." And then I have Sir Gregor shuffle forward with the mirror.
Yeah.
Do I tell you what it is?
Yes. Go ahead. I mean, you seem to have an idea here.
Yeah. It is a large, shapeless-looking orange lump, inside which has been stitched a mosquito.
A mosquito in amber?
Yes.
Huh. Yeah, I think Clem looks at this kind of dispassionately and is like, contrary to what you might think, not actually annoyed about the strange heraldry, but instead turns impatiently towards the white-feathered Imperial soldiers and says, and I'm supposed to lead them. They're not even wearing my coat of arms.
Hey. We're supposed to be leading you back to Timor. And Aaron is very much impatient, I think, here.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold. He's been standing here for over an hour.
Look, Clem says, stepping up to Aaron. Look, I know that you're in charge, okay? I'm not a fool. I know that this is about the Empire's will and bringing the stray colonies back, but I'm not going to be press-ganged into these old ceremonies if you're not at least going to pretend to respect them, okay? You could at least pretend.
Aaron pushes up. He's got glasses, of course. He's got art glasses. Mm-hmm. Pushes up glasses. Goes, actually, the Empire has no need to respect your ceremonies. I think you'll find.
Then why do you listen to her? Clem says, pointing over her shoulder in like mutual disrespect of the Duchess.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll find that the Treaty of the Severosi Conquest, and he's like, oh, right, I was born for this. I know my imperial history. It's like, I think you'll find that she comes from a very long line of imperial aligned families. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
It's a formality mostly.
So hold on. Do I have to wear this? Clem asks Aaron about the tabard. But you don't.
And Aaron looks towards the Duchess. It's like, yes, I think, yes.
As you represent me in such matters, you will wear my coat of arms that I have given you. As you represent the Emperor and his will, you shall wear the uniform that his people see fit to give you.
So you're straight up telling me I serve two masters.
I serve the immortal Emperor. Much honor and much good it has done me, I say, giving a smile and showing how dirt poor I look.
Yeah, I think Clem at this point, and this may answer the question, I think Clem actually pulls off this like ancient venerated tabard and like just takes it off and throws it back to the knight who gave it. And then just says, well, this guy serves the Emperor more directly, so I guess I'm with him. And steps in beside Aaron. And yeah. Is this answering the question of why is Aaron with you?
Because you have to be. Yeah.
Because you have to be. But I think it also gives some color to Clem, this whole like, okay, if I have to serve, I'm at least going to do it like sensibly.
Mm-hmm. The Duchess looks genuinely heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is.
Yep.
I thought you were going to be the one.
Yes. And so I think we've learned that Clem will instead adapt the white feathers of like the Imperial troops at this stage in their life.
Nice.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Yeah, so it's
I forget whose turn it is.
Yeah, I think it's your turn, Klow.
Yay.
Okay, so the theme is still Aaron.
Theme is still Aaron, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put something under.
You go first, yeah.
Temporary attempts climb into dishonor. I want to put something in the death of Duchess Turson. I'm going to put this over here. And
so it happens after Tamira attempts Clem? Or no, you're moving it. Okay.
Before.
It's before Tamira attempts Clem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Duchess Turson is eaten by something in the Deadlands.
Okay. Yeah, that happens during the year of the death of Duchess Turson. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is somehow tied to Aaron. That's interesting.
Yeah. Should it be clear how already?
I think generally there's supposed to be like some understandable connection, right? You can't just ignore it altogether.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, in fact,
Okay,
Aaron's a
okay, I'll
battlefield
take-
medic, right? No,
Mm.
Aaron's
he is.
battlefield medic. He would have been out there in the Deathlands with Clem. I think that's good connection.
Okay, how about this? Duchess Turson wounded on Imperial Hunt.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay, clearer. Yep.
Yeah.
And is this a light or a dark event?
I think it's bad. It's bad for you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, so that's me.
Mm.
Okay. I am going to do something. All right, no, I have to add an event. Okay. All right, so then it won't be a scene because I'm going to add something in Clem Comes to Uduasha, but we have no events in Clem Comes to Uduasha. And I'm going to put this as the chronologically last we have so far. I can't forbid anyone from putting anyone after it, but in my mind, it's towards the end. And then you guys can screw with that all you want. But it's a light event, and it is Clem is reunited with Aaron. So I'm sort of establishing that they have been apart for some time.
Aww.
And
Nice.
I had a scene I wanted to add, but I'm not allowed to because I'm not the lens. So let us stick to the rules, and I can add shit later when I am the lens.
Mm.
So it's back to you, Salty, to do one event or possibly one event and a nested thing in it.
Mm. I think I'm going to go with an event which is in the Clem is Knighted period, where they travel to the battlefield to Scotland as part of this imperial contingent. And have we had a nested event yet? Because if not, fuck it, we're going to chuck it in, and it's a bad event. This is a bad event. And I think the question.
Okay, so you're adding an event and a scene in the event.
Yeah,
to be
event
clear.
and the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the question is going to be, why didn't you leave him behind?
Okay. This is interesting because we now have Clem going to Scotland, then the Duchess dies, and then the Siege of Blackvale. So there may have been two tours in Scotland. How this looks.
I mean,
Which
the
is not
war went
impossible.
on for 50 years.
Yeah,
apparently.
the war was
It's a long fucking war.
Yeah. It's I mean, this happens, right? People do multiple tours in war sometimes. I'm just saying it's interesting that we have now established that Clem deserted apparently the second time they were sent to the front and not the first.
Makes sense, though.
It does.
Yeah, so I'm going to establish that Clem and Aaron are both there. And it's this very rickety. I think it's a boat. We've established Clem hates the sea, so it's a boat. It is this very cold deck of a ship. I suppose it takes place over a couple of days, so it's then travelling across the Deathlands of Scotland. Clem's on a horse. Clem gets a horse this time. I'd like to establish Clem can ride a horse as a treat.
Yay.
So wait, is this scene set on the boat, or I missed the connection to the horse there?
Like, can we do it over several days? Because I feel like is that possible?
Well, with a scene, I don't
Yeah,
really know,
yeah,
because a scene
no,
is supposed to be like
no.
characters having a conversation until a question is answered.
Yeah, we'll chuck it. We'll chuck it. There was a
You
boat,
could have
and
the
then
horse on the
yeah.
boat.
horses on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
boat,
Mhm.
and it's I think that
Mhm.
works.
Okay. So we're on a boat. The question is, why didn't you leave him behind? Aaron is there and Clem is there. That it?
Yes.
Mhm.
I'll open it up. So,
Technically, we pick
yeah.
characters first.
Yeah.
I'm the
Klow,
Deadlands.
you're the Deathlands. Lovely. Then I suppose I will play young Clem again. I think it's fun to play young Clem. Unless you really had something in mind for that, Salty.
No, I'm intrigued to see what you'll say.
Are you playing Aaron then?
I suppose I'll play Aaron. Yeah. Although I can't wait for you to play Aaron as this absolute nerd bitch ass boy.
Well, there are good news and bad news here. One, I will, because I'm the GM of the actual game.
That's
But
what
two, he will.
meant.
Yes, but two, he is not going to be a bitch ass nerd boy, because this happened like 15 years ago. So we will also see how Aaron has changed, which I think is lovely.
Yeah, he used to be a bitch ass nerd boy. Now he's hot as shit and also a nerd boy. He's the Clark Kent of nerd boys.
We will see.
Love it.
So, yeah, we introduced the states of minds of the characters, and I think Clem is. I think Clem is afraid in this scene. Clem was angry in the last scene, but I think now we're dealing with like actually scared, because the ocean is very vast, and this whole being sent to the front isn't what the tales about knights was cut out to be.
Yeah.
And also, it's probably Clem's first time at sea, so.
Aaron is going to be. I think he's pissed off. I think we're going to swap. He's just bored and tired and just wants this Severosi night to get it over with. Suck it up, we're going to the front.
Yeah. And Clem calls out like, so we're expected to spend days out here? Days?
Yeah.
And then
that's what it is.
You came here like this? Is your... I have not been out of Severos before, but is the whole of the Akrosi continent mad? This is mad. This is crazy. There are stars below us.
Don't look too long.
Yeah, Void Sea's fucked up.
And yeah, this is how we actually conquered your continent.
Don't just say we. Were you a sailor? You never struck me as a sailor. You're actually, what is even your position?
I think Aaron kind of walks up to Clem on the side of the ship. He's like, I mean, yeah, sailing family. I'm medic.
Sailing family. But a medic. Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. So I guess you didn't want to get into the family business.
I'll interject with some scenery.
Mm-hmm.
A cold mist, thick, it suddenly envelops the ship. This is very normal. Suddenly the weather changes.
Yeah.
And the sparkcraft barriers, I think there's like, it looks like gigantic pikes that are electrified are sticking out of this ship from like all directions, and like the mist crackles. The electricity crackles against the mist, and the mist seems like it wants to come in, but it can't.
Yeah. Clem kind of flinches back a little bit. He goes, "You had those things on your fucking fishing boats?"
Yeah. It's. And I think Aaron's like, oh shit! Like this person really doesn't know what's going on. Like, Like, oh yeah, it's actually really fascinating. Actually, can I look? I'm just going to talk. So essentially, it works by we hunt leviathans, we bring them onto shore, and we used to bleed them. And well, essentially, we've been sending the bloods to Lockport. They didn't like it. Blah blah blah.
Listen, kid. I've gone to school. I know why you people rule the waves. I just, holy shit! It's another thing up close.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool, right? Akarossi technology, Severossi, bravery, and whatnot. Quite a team, right?
You understand how this works?
Avengers, you hear from behind you, said
Yeah.
Severussi.
Yeah. Clem looks to Aaron, points at things, and goes like, "You know how these things work? Like, could you build one?"
Maybe not build one, but I know how they work. I mean, I can kind of maintain one if I. It was a long time ago. If you gave me a screwdriver and like a spanner and maybe some extra Leviathan oil, I could probably figure it out. It's not like it's difficult.
Night, Avengers, and this time is right in your ear from right behind you.
I think Clem has been warned about this with the sea, that it's fucked up. So Clem is trying to shut it out. But I think they turn to Aaron and just say like, okay, listen, I don't know if we're getting back on an Imperial ship or not. They haven't been exactly the kindest with sending people back, but whatever boat I'm on, you're coming with me because I don't want these things to fail. And I think that answers the question. It's just like, okay, if you have a faint clue about how this works. I also realized, actually, that I had not considered this in the context of the Blade setting, but the fact that the Akaros have ships is actually kind of an achievement, considering the Void Sea is super scary to anyone who is not Akarosi or Dagger Islander.
I consider the Akarossi as just absolute, like, fucking idiots. Like, yeah, we're going to sail that ship. We can see something beyond the clouds. Right, we're going there.
Yeah, but yeah, it's. I hadn't actually considered that having a navy is like a fucking achievement in this setting. Yep.
White people and boats. Name a more iconic duo.
Is that going to be our answer? Why didn't you leave him behind? White people and boats.
Yeah, I think that's our answer.
I have like a small other detail as you just to kind of like color things. As you turned to as Clem turned to Aaron as like, I'm going, this is why she stayed. As you speak to Aaron, you keep seeing like some sort of like really ancient sword like smashed through his face, and just kind of like come out the other side. But Aaron is still talking to you.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Visions of the sea. I don't fucking understand it. Look, the Akarosi may be on to something. I think I think we're actually seeing a young Clem be pretty pro-Empire, which is interesting.
I mean, if you're out on the sea and then you see this shit, and it just kind of is prevented.
And listen, as I have played young Clem throughout, right? Between the people Clem has interacted with, it has been decrepit old people who understand jack shit, and this kind of annoying guy who understands quite a lot. Far, the Empire is coming up looking like a much better deal. Is what I'm saying.
I didn't get to play my cool Void Beast entity. Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah, you know why you didn't get to do that? Because Sparkcraft. See?
Because Aaron's cool as hell.
Yeah. Fine. Yep. Anyway. Whose turn is it now?
That ends the Lens's turn, which means that it is now my turn as the legacy to establish the legacy. And I think the legacy I will be established, I wasn't sure until this very last scene, the legacy I want to establish is Sparkcraft.
Nice.
And I write that down somewhere over here. And then we will do a scene or an event focused on. Yeah, I think I will add. Okay, so this is an event and maybe a nested narrated scene I get to do as the legacy. I think I will add it during the Siege of Blackvale. Actually, it doesn't have to be a separate thing. It's during the desertion. So that happened after execution of Baron Gunnar.
Mm.
So I will add a
Yeah.
scene in the desertion, which we so far haven't seen. And it will be... I'll say it before I write it down. So we have seen that Clem was less than happy during the Siege of Blackvale. It was a fucked up situation, and so on. But I think the question I want to ask is like, how can... Okay, this is getting grim, so I guess we'll put a content warning on things.
Mm.
But I think, like, why did Clem completely go 180 on Sparcraft and the Empire, having been as a young person being like, this is awesome? And I think the answer is creative Akarosi war crimes with electroplasm. So, like,
Yes.
they deployed raw electroplasm against the Skovlanders. Which is very not good for you. So, yeah. Why did Clem's opinion on electroplasm change? And the answer is, like, raw electroplasm bombings. And this happened during the desertion, and it's a very much So the desertion is overall light, but this is a very dark event. I think this is what causes the switch away. Yeah, raw electroplasm is raw ghost juice, so it's like it's not just like physically painful either. Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, fun times are had.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we do one more round of lenses and so on?
Yeah.
I guess
Are we
so,
done?
yeah. I don't know. I guess it's up to Salty. Do you feel like you have enough of a backstory for your character?
I think we've got some really good stuff. Maybe
it's also tricky because we shouldn't over-define Clem either, right?
Yeah.
We do want to find out some stuff in play.
Shall we do like one thing each without a lens?
Okay, yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah. Like we get one thing and then it's over. Because I think there's some stuff left that would be interesting to explore, but at the same time we don't want to over-define.
That's true.
What was the video game that made you bomb people with white phosphorus? Because that really reminds me
Spec Ops: The Line.
what you've just said.
Spec Ops, yeah.
And then they're like, but aren't you the real monster for playing the video game?
Like, press X to use white phosphorus.
Anyway.
I love that for us.
Yes.
Whose turn is it? Is it my turn?
It was Salty who had the last proper turn, then I was the legacy, so yes, it's your turn.
Very good. I will add an event. Medal of Valor.
Okay, that's an event. Does that happen? When does it happen? Before the desertion? But after the execution?
Oh yeah, we have to move this desertion thing.
Yeah.
Move that here. Yeah.
So it's between the execution of Baron Gunnar and the desertion.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a medal. Very cool. Is that a light or a dark event?
So the Siege of Blackvale is generally... You know what? I'm going to call it a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think that fits.
More and more I get the feeling that the Siege of Blackvale being a good period in Clem's life is mostly because it's the period where Clem went, actually fuck this shit. It's a good period because of all the bad things that happened in it and caused Clem to see clearly, kind of. Yep.
Clem also did some bad things. And but it's okay. We got a medal.
I guess I'm next. Okay, I will put an event between. Yeah, let's just call it an event. Like I don't want to over detail it as a scene. I'll keep shoving things into the Siege of Blackvale, and this is going to happen Is it cooler if it's before or after the Medal of Valor? No, I think it's before the Medal of Valor. Actually, it's probably the first thing in the Siege of Blackvale, come to think of it. It's before even the execution of Baron Gunnar. And it's called Arryn Left for Dead. And it's a dark event.
Aaron!
And note that we have no Arryn appearing in the story after that until in Udwasha, which I think is super cool.
Aaron!
I thought you were going to make it a light event for a moment there
Yeah,
in the formatting. Like, yes, it is good
Light.
that he died,
Light
No,
entertainment.
but came back.
Yes. So we have this whole friendship with Arryn in the first campaign, then the death of Duchess Tirsin, which also involved him. Then the Siege of Blackvale happens and he immediately gets left for dead. This kind of also explains, I think, why we saw Clem be so much more insecure during the execution of Baron Gunnar scene.
Where's my
Kind
little
of shit
friend?
that's happened. Yeah.
Where's my boy? Where's my good time boy?
Yes.
My sweet cheese.
My
My
rotten
rotten
soldier.
soldier.
Uh-huh. And yeah, Salty, you get to add the last thing. I think we've definitely added weight to
Yeah.
both your friend and rival here, so that's interesting.
So we've got, in the death of Duchess Tirsin, we've got Duchess Tirsin was wounded, tempted into dishonor, and I'd like to add another dark event which takes place after being tempted into dishonor, where Clem is called home to Severos. And I think I'm going to say that's a light event.
Mm-hmm.
Enough.
Yeah.
I realized I do have one thing I want to do after we end the game part, actually.
Yeah.
Which is more of a meta thing. We may cut it, we may keep it. But just flagging that.
Yeah.
Cold home. Oh, you were satisfied with just cold home, or do you want to add some more detail to it?
I think called home. I'm going to leave it like that. Yeah. Let's leave it like that.
Okay, excellent. So if we're happy with this, I'm just going to read back the backstory for Clem we've made, if that's okay. Just like
go for
summarize. So what we have decided about Clem's backstory, it starts with Clem being knighted, saying goodbye to their old life, barely remembering it as being very young. Then Clem receives a coat of arms and is introduced to Arryn, who is this nerdy boy that he becomes friends with, kind of. She sides with him over the old Duchess Tirsin, who was her liege lord. Then travels to Scotland for the first campaign, sees Sparcraft, sees the Deathlands, learns that the world is very big. And then we don't really know very much about the first campaign, but presumably it went okay. Then Duchess Tirsin is wounded on Imperial Hunt. Clem is called home. And then, having returned home, Tamira tempts Clem into dishonor. The second campaign is the Siege of Blackvale. Clem is deployed once more to the front. Almost immediately, Arryn is left for dead. Something happens there. The unit that she is part of then storms the manor of Baron Gunnar. Clem pulls the trigger and shoots him, and then his manor is blown up in like a grandiose going out. Clem receives the Medal of Valor for, I guess, having shot the bomber guy. We don't really specify, and is then horrified to see the Akarosi are deploying electroplasma as a weapon, and deserts. Clem then goes to Sunfall, where she meets Gosha, the desert guide, in an insurance fraud event where, like, during a riot, Gosha shoots some soldiers, and in the confusion, Clem makes off with a bunch of barrels of wine. We then see that the insurance fraud plan didn't go great, but Tamira still had a good time. And then Clem runs away a second time, this time not from the army, but from Tamira, goes to Udwasha, and is reunited with Arryn as like the most recent thing before the introduction to the story. Is there anything you want to add to this, Salty? Since again, it's your character, so now we've summed up what we've done together.
It's our character now.
It's our character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know.
I'm going to just put in, because she's a Berserk, so that means she has an ideology, and her ideology is free Severos. She's nationalistic.
Uh-huh. Yeah, makes sense.
And I think,
yeah,
I like that.
Uh-huh. And so, question about that immediately: is it free Severos from the Akorosi, or is it free Severos both from the Akorosi and from the like dilapidated nobility? We did talk about her being like a more progressive, like sort of like workers unite kind of person. Are you going with that angle, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think workers unite. The only thing we have left to lose.
Yeah. So the goal is not like a restoration of the old Severosi nobility. It's like the formation of a brand new Severosi state. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, this ties into what I was going to ask, actually, and that is, I really like this character backstory. What I want to do now is like thematically tie this to our story, so that it's not like the Clem story happening parallel to the Kethrisi, right? So we have a bunch of themes going in the story already of like the Kethrisi identity, and the fact that the crew is farmers, I think, interacts interestingly with this, because we've now established that Clem is not and never was a farmer. So how do we make this like sing together with this? Is this because of the ideology? She is happy to align with like a sword school of farmers, or just, how do we tie this together thematically?
Yeah, why us?
Yeah, I think it's not farming. I think it's laborer, right? Like she would have served to work for somebody else. She would not have benefited off of her own work. And I think she finds it honourable that these people are making it for themselves.
I guess there's also a parallel between the like aging aristocrats and the falling star sword school. Now that I think about it, like there's a parallel between Duchess Tirsin and J. Clev, maybe.
Yeah.
Just like, that could be an angle. I'm just trying to like, again, I don't know if we'll edit this out of the actual recording or not, but I do think it's good to also brainstorm of like how to integrate, how to tie the details from Clem's backstory into the fairly tight-knit sword school, right?
I was thinking, so the Kethrisi have the myth of, or at least their ancestors are the trees, right?
Yeah.
Severosi have something similar. Their ancestors are the sky, and their children are the earth. Like, because I've got Clem with her vice of ancestral steel. It's weird. It's like your ancestors and descendants are the veins of the earth. So it kind of ties into that similar myth, similar legend, similar cultures almost that's developed separately. And I think that kind of falls in with the Sunfall is both Eruvian and Severosi a little bit as well.
That tie I think is cool. There's also the whole Saida's Prince of Endings, which I guess works as like a revolution in heaven kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you just found out about that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering this. Like, I'm imagining Clem having been in Uduasha for a while, actually, already, just kind of like moving from thing to thing, cause to cause, employer to employer, kind of like living kind of hand to mouth.
That makes sense.
And like, maybe there wasn't anything special about us. We were just like number 65 on like the list of people you've tried to throw in with. And maybe, I don't know, maybe this one sticks for some reason.
Yeah. I think that's cool. That also lets us establish a little bit more history with Clem's contacts in Uduasha, because you want them to be relevant to Uduasha as well.
Yeah.
I like that. Your cause number 65. No, 69, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's got to be your cause number 69. What makes you different?
Yeah.
I think part of that is the Prince of Endings. I think that really resonates. Because first of all, it's really cool. And I think we need somebody like who's going, yes, let's do this, Saida. I'm going to cheer you on. Just absolutely. Oh, yeah. And also Shoei Katam.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's cool. Like, it makes sense to have Clem be like slightly more mercenary about this and then grow fond of the crew over time. It's tricky because we made an even more tight knit crew than in season 1, right? Like the season 1 crew were a family, but they had things like cousin Joan can show up and not really know that much about what's going on. But it's a bit of a different vibe now with the whole like Ketrisy cause. So I want to make sure that Clem is integrated into the cause, but it sounds like she is. If this is the like, I need to find something worthy to fight for, and this is like my 69th attempt.
Yeah, and in a way, like the Ketrisy cause is something that we are interested in as players, but like, what is it really for our characters? Because Bidrohi is he wants respect for the Ketrisy in Uduasha, but like he's never talked about like overthrowing the gentleman back home. And as soon as like Saida Salt, you haven't heard this episode yet, but like as soon as Saida started talking about the Prince of Endings, his first thought was like, this is a great way to get my family killed.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something that Saida's doing. And Mistrix got his own cause, but it sounds like he's just lost that fight and lost that fire as well, right? So I think in a way we're kind of like, we want the cause to emerge. And Saida's doing it, but like she's the only one really who's got that fire. I think we have reasons for not having that fire as well.
Yeah. So I think it's cool to bring in Clem with the more experience of it. It's also like, it depends on how much we want to touch on the Empire vis-a-vis Uduasha also. The Empire is much more distant here, and I think Clem could make that conflict more direct. And I think that could be cool. With Clem being involved a little more in like, because again, the spark craft and whatnot have not been super present in season 2, where it was very front and center in season 1. And if we bring in Clem's whole like, spark craft is capable of horrific things actually, that also gives like a bit of texture to the Imperial presence.
Yeah, I'd also like to highlight that Mona Darling has that very cool Sparkcraft lance.
Oh yeah,
I think that's going to be important. We've introduced a little bit of it there, but that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
There's some Sparkcraft devices here. I mean, I have no idea how you feel about Sparkcraft. If you have like PTSD about Sparkcraft itself, of course you don't have haunted.
I've got traumatic flashbacks, baby.
Yeah, you do have.
I can have whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I honestly feel like Clem is the sort of character where like Clem can take a total of 8 traumas because Clem is just badass, but she took 4 of them before the campaign started, so that's why she's on par with everyone else.
Yeah. So I think I'm just
interested.
Yeah, you integrate. Just see what happens.
Also, for the recording, shall I state the poem, the colour, and the instrument you gave me?
Yeah.
How big is it?
Because it's a good poem. It's a good poem, and I think it's informed a lot about Clem.
Is it of a length that you can say it now?
I
haven't read it.
I'm bad at reading poetry.
Don't worry about it.
You can read a couple. I think you can read the whole thing. It's not that long. It's what?
Yeah, I think I could.
That'd be a nice way to end it.
So we're ending on the poem. In that case, state the other inspirations you were given first, I think. And then...
So you also gave me the color, which is yellow, and that's certainly interesting because, as I mentioned before in a very brief kind of discussion we had, was the yellow is joy and happiness, but also yellow-bellied, a coward. And I think we've really shown that in she's run not once but twice. There.
Also, your heraldry was a yellow ball.
Yeah, amber
with something in it. I want to see that come back in some way.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and a violin. So my immediate thought was I did do a little bit of I learned a bit of violin for a couple of years. So a lot of Vivaldi, some like film and TV tracks. So Watership Down was a big one. And in fact, that is a big inspiration for Clem, Watership Down. There's Danse Macabre, which is one of my favourite pieces of music, as well as the Carnival of the Animals. But Klow introduced me to Union, who do these amazing violin pieces, and it's giving you with the beat in it. It's giving playing a violin on horseback is the only way I can describe it. Really,
Yeah, that's very cool.
I was like, yes, that's such a vibe. In fact, we do need to release our playlists on YouTube or something. Once I've got some art for Clem, we'll do that, because I'm quite happy with the playlist I've got for her. It's pretty good. Yeah. So I've got a couple of touchstones as well. I mean, 100%, because I have brain rot. A couple of characters from the Lock Tomb series, but we've already mentioned that in a episode that may come out before this or come out after this. Who knows?
Yep.
But my poem is the first part of the Federated Malaya States Railway, F.M.S.R, by, correct me because this is going to be a very English pronunciation, but Teopo Leng.
You can't choose but to be English.
I cannot choose but to be English, unfortunate. Yeah. And I did a little bit of research about the poet. This is post World War One, which I think informs a lot about Clem. So I suppose I'd begin. Millionaires from the New World with nothing else to do wander the old world like wandering Jews, call here to buy wooden shoes, pieces of cheap porcelains, costly gewgaws and Malacca canes, call here to learn without learning anything new. Some more than once to ride the familiar round, and when they leave, nothing follows them but the sound, the emanation of their own unsatisfied craving, their desire uncrowned. Nowadays, monarchy and democracy are mere appellatives for mediocrity. So is the aristocracy of wealth, these millionaires, what numbskulls they must be, who are unawares of their own idiocy. Unwittingly they come undeserving see the same wares they did leave behind at home to meet foreign jeers, to see tigers and snakes in Singapore and drink tiger beers. But our tigers have grown timorous and dare not come forth to meet the amorous whimsicality of the rich visitor. So to the Pongol Zoo she goes, to meet living tigers, snakes and armadillos, or dead tigers guarding garish advertisement panels, or Raffles Museum to stare at stupid animals.
Hell yeah.
That was a really good reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the energy you brought it. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've had to do one of those.
Oh, you still got it.
Yeah, you still got it. Absolutely. And yeah, I can see a lot of the Clem inspiration, particularly when you did your reading. A lot of it clicked into place for me. Yeah.
All right. Do we say bye-bye to the listeners and just have a detox?
I think so. So yes, thank you for listening to this. Thank you for listening all the way to the end in this slightly unorthodox Desperate Attune Extra, in which we look at Clem's backstory. And of course, this will be woven into the story as we go along. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Craig.
Yep.
Thank you, Craig.
Goodbye,
we
Craig.
have been half of the Desperate Attune cast.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here close the doors to the House of Endings. Those who dwell within are Zoheb, called Klow, Aadiyat, called Soap, Soumithri, called Tree, Salty, and Emma. I have been Prince, your host. Our city of Uduasha is based on Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, with special thanks to Johnstone Metzger. Follow us on Twitter or support us on ko-fi.com/Desperate patreon.com/desperateattune. If you want to engage further with us, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/desperateattune, where you will get our newsletter, extra content, and updates from Uduasha.